Brad Gilmore. He challenged me to movie trivia.
So Frank, there was something that we kind of discussed before that I wanted to just lay out on the table here. My, what would you call it, strong suit?
Brad Gilmore, he thinks he knows Back to the Future, which is only like 3 movies, so that's pretty easy.
It will be an all Back to the Future rundown Schmoedown.
Frank Janisch. I'm going to take you down brick by brick, block by block.
They are very nice to each other, aren't they? Just pleasant and sweet?
You go put on your little blazers and your little plastic loafers.
Oh, brother! Brad Gilmore brought the rundown to a whole nother level.
That's simply not going to happen here, little boy. We'll run along and do something else with your time.
And let's get ready to run down!
Hey everyone, John Roca here. Pluto TV is the leading free streaming television service. Watch over 100 TV channels and thousands of movies on demand, all completely free. Pluto TV never asks for a credit card. You don't even need to sign up to watch free. Pluto TV is the easy and completely legal way to watch your favorite TV shows and hit movies for free. What are you waiting for? Never pay for TV again by downloading Pluto TV. You can download Pluto TV for free on all of your favorite devices today, including your phone, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, smart TVs, PlayStation, and anywhere else you stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frank Janisch, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. I am Brad Gilmore. I am joined in Chicago, Illinois, of all places, by Mr. Frank Janisch. Frank, how are you?
Yeah, of all places, in the small little village called Chicago. I'm doing pretty good. I had an up and down week.
What does that mean? Why did you have an up and down week?
I was having a good week to start, and then first couple days were good, and then I kind of got in trouble.
You got in trouble? I don't know if you
heard about this. Yeah, I got in trouble this week.
What'd you get in trouble for?
It was about something I posted on the Rundown Instagram account, and if you listen to Collider Live,
did this have to do with Mr. Mark Ellis's footwear?
Yeah, or like thereof. Yeah, they weren't particularly pleased.
Now I don't understand. What's the beef? I don't get it.
Well, if you listen to Collider Live, they talk about, like, I posted a picture of Ellis, kind of unbeknownst to him that I took the picture because, well, he didn't know I took the picture of him initially. But when I posted it, I did tag him in it, and I said a little line, whatever, I forget. I was just trying to be funny. And I thought it was funny. I was coming from, like, that angle, and, like, they got that. But also at the same time, it's kind of like, after hearing them talk about it, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird, I guess. I don't know. But
what was it? Was it kind of a Jeff Snyder situation, or was this more of a lighthearted slap on the wrist?
It was a lighthearted. It was. I just got a message for, like, hey, let's not have this happen again. I was like,
Frank Janisch is ever the troublemaker when it comes to the world of the Schmoedown.
And here's the thing, because, like, Christian has said, and he said it on Collider Live, about not posting stuff that revealed too much behind the scenes stuff at Schmoedown. And listen, I honestly was thinking that, like, I have so many more pictures that I did not post for that reason. And I thought this one didn't show anything but Mark Ellis's footwear or lack thereof. And, it's my bad, and I'll just not do that anymore. So, Yeah.
Well, don't.
And like I had a fun, and like I had some people messaging me, but like, hey, you watching Collider Live? I was like, no, I'm at work right now. And then he's like, yeah, go like right after the break. They talk about the picture you posted. I was like, what? And so I watched, and I was like, oh, this went away that I did not expect. And
right,
yeah,
went or left.
Yeah. So
whichever it is.
I felt kind of bad about it for a little bit, and then I got over it. So.
Well, I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that you got through it. We're marching toward some big times here in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. We got a lot of news to break down, Frank Janisch. So I think that we should get to it. We also have some interviews that we're going to have on the show. Why don't you tell the people who we're going to hear from?
Yeah, I talked to Chance Ellison and Rachel Silvestrini. They both made their debuts in the same match against each other for their respective teams. So we had a very lengthy discussion with them, and it's like about an hour long. There's two of them, and I wanted to get their perspectives on their individual debuts and just kind of how they compared and contrasted. Obviously, one won, one lost. So it was interesting to have them have a winner and a loser from the same match at the same time. We've never done that here. So that's why it takes quite a while to get through. And it was a great time getting to know them and listen to their experiences. And I hope when we get to that point in the show, you guys also enjoy that.
I think that it's going to be interesting. One of them had kind of a hyped debut, and it was not very well liked by the crowd in attendance.
We get into that, and he talks about that, and it's interesting to hear what he has to say about it too. So yeah,
we'll hear about that here in a moment. But let's talk about the big news coming up at the end of this month. At the time that people are hearing this, 20 days away from a huge match. Maybe one of the biggest matchups in recent memory for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. We're going to see the Outlaw, John Rocha, challenge the current reigning and defending Movie Trivia Schmoedown champion of the world, William the Beast Bibbiani. Now, if a title match wasn't enough, if the history of these two wasn't enough, let's throw in a little stipulation ski, if we will, and the loser is done for the year and they're out of the singles tournament. They can't perform in singles competition for the rest of the year.
Right. That's it makes sense because the singles term is pretty much going to run right up to Spectacular. So,
right.
But the mere fact that the loser can't even get like a bid into the singles tournament,
they're on the sidelines for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's only going to be about a month and a half ish, 2 months ish, but still, the rest of the year, you're going to get so close. Champagne wishes, caviar dreams, and then you end up, having to sit on the sidelines. It's an interesting matchup. We've seen these two go back and forth a lot. Where's your? I know you're a Rocha guy. I'm a Rocha guy, even though he came at me on Twitter for rooting for Andrew Guy, and I got to be honest, and I'm still gonna say this, Rocha. So hate me if you want to, Outlaw. But Andrew Guy, the storyline I just felt was better. I just thought it was a better storyline. I think Janisch even said it too. We thought it was a better story.
Right, but that doesn't mean I'm not rooting. Like, was I rooting for Andrew Guy or John Rocha in that match? I was rooting for.
You're rooting for Andrew Guy,
even though
you told me.
I was rooting for the storyline, but for the person, I was rooting for Rocha. And I know that sounds weird, and like, how do you make that? How do you draw that line?
Sound like a politician, Frank.
I guess. I
don't want to bring politics into it.
We're going to
I'm
make
going to do
Schmoedown great again.
I'm going to do one thing, and then I'm going to do another, and then I'm going to leave it in suspense.
I'm going to flip, and I'm going to flop, and I'm going to flip again.
Who are you doing? Who is that?
You wouldn't get it. It's a thing. I don't know.
It's a thing. Okay, I don't know. I don't know who that is. I liked it. I just don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I just don't know who it is.
I think it's like a little Bill Clinton, a little Obama. I don't know.
Obama was real like what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna root for John Rocha, and Rocha's gonna get it done. That's my Obama. I think it's a somewhat solid Obama. I think.
Yeah, for a white guy. Yeah.
For a white guy, what can you do? What can you do? Anyway, okay, let's move on though. So who do you have though? I mean, bias aside, if Chris Clark were here, we talked about it on the end of last week's show. Who we thought would have it, who we were leaning toward, who we were leaning against. I still think that Beast wants to retain that championship so bad. So bad. But a big motivating factor for John Rocha in this match is to win, not only win, but then do the thing that he was never able to do, and that's defend the championship. I think that's still a big weight on his shoulders, right. A big chip on his shoulder, really. And I don't know. I think this is a toss-up. I think stylistically it's a toss-up. I think that knowledge base, I think we talked, like you said, we talked about it last week, but Bibiani, I think, has maybe the more, has a deeper knowledge of films of all genres and all ages. But Rocha's that gunslinger. I mean, it really lives up to his name, the Outlaw. If we were talking about the fight that's going down tonight, at the time people are listening to this, Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, William Bibiani is Nurmagomedov. You know, he's got technique, he's got style, he knows all the ins and outs. If you get him on the mat, he knows how to keep you down there, he knows how to wrestle you. But then John Rocha really is a Conor McGregor. All it takes is that left hand, and it's his. He likes to stand up, he likes to duke it out to the very end. So I think it's a toss-up, and I really think it's really hard to call.
I think on the surface, yeah, it's really hard to call because, like you said, Bibiani, he has a very deep well of knowledge,
right?
And Rocha's is really good too. I mean, you don't get to be a former team champ, a former singles champ without having a deep well of knowledge. But as we've seen with Bibiani in the past, his history shows us that he has a higher accuracy rate overall in the league than John Rocha does, and we know that Bibiani has been victim to what I chalk up to bad luck in the final round with the kind of questions he gets, or even Festival Darlings. That was just a bad spin that didn't go his way when he lost against Sam Levine in the tournament. For John Rocha, he knows categories that other people struggle in, and that's
Westerns.
That's right, Westerns, and even I guess, depending who he plays, biopics, and who you look at, who you want to compare. But I think he has certain strengths that are just average for other players, and that usually gives him a leg up. But I think he's also the better player of the game. Bibiani's strategy Bibiani's strategy from the beginning is, I'll just answer all the questions. Well, sometimes that's just not going to happen, and you're going to have to rely on strategy. Should I spin again? Should I go with multiple choice? Should I use a repeat? There's a lot of other factors besides answering the questions that I think John Rocha probably pays attention to a little bit more than Bibiani does. But it's hard to argue with the results for either of these players because they've both reached the mountaintop. Bibiani currently sits there. Rocha has done it previously in 2 different leagues. So it is a toss-up, and I'm very, very much looking forward to how this all goes down.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of the most anticipated matchups. Well, okay. If you,
I'm thinking, and I've said this for a few weeks now. Even when this little mini tournament was going on, I said after Andrew Guy beat Riley, I was like, this for sure, Rocha has a clear shot to win this title because I think he really can do it. And I thought that before, when this little mini tournament started, and I still think that now.
I think John Rocha, if we're being honest, can beat anybody. And that's not bias or anything. I think he can beat anybody on any given day. I mean, winning the championship is difficult enough. William Bibiani winning the championship is difficult enough. We're just going to have to see. I'm actually really excited. It's almost crazy this isn't the main event of Spectacular in a lot of ways, because this feels like the biggest championship match in a while. I mean,
right.
Oh, man. I don't know. But speaking of, the Spectacular's around the corner. We know this. Singles tournament, though. We've been in the teams tournament, Anarchy. It's been going on. But we know the singles tournament is going to occur as well. And we have some names that have been announced for the singles tournament. I'm going to announce them here, and then we'll react. Mark Andreyko, who almost became the Movie Trivia Schmoedown champion of the world. Dan Murrell, former champion of the world. 2-time champion. You have Clark Wolf, current team champion. Almost was there. She was number 1 contender a couple of times. Very close. Ethan Irwin, we know the caliber of this guy. Stacey Howard, which is more, she's still a question mark. Stacey Howard's still a question mark to me. I can always go back to that Mark Ellis match, but that's the only match I can go back to. I'm going to be honest with you. Drew McQueenie, who is a force in teams. not a bad singles player by any means, but not the greatest singles player we've ever seen. But in a tournament format, we know that he can rise to the occasion in that kind of format. So it kind of plays to his strengths. Very interesting things. We have 2 spots still to be determined, which we'll get to here in a moment. But let's talk about who's not in the tournament for sure. Who's not going to be in the tournament? We know no Jeff Snyder, which is good news for Drew McQueen. No Andrew Guy, which is bad news for everybody. Let's be honest.
And good news for all the players, I guess.
Yeah, good news for the players, but bad news for the fans. Bad news for the fans. And you know what? Good news for the players, bad news for us, the fans. No Rachel Cushing. Rachel Cushing not competing in the singles tournament. Her partner is, but not Rachel. What is your initial reaction, Frank, of the 6 announced names and then the 3 names that we know are not playing?
Well, of the 6, all very, very good. Some have shown flashes. Some have shown extended runs of brilliance. Stacey Howard, I think she always appears to like creep right up to the door, is about to knock on it, and then
no dice.
The floor falls out from underneath her, and she's like I'm curious to see who her first round match is going to be against. I mean, it's an 8-person tournament, so these are going to be brutal first round matches right off the bat. But to see Dan Murrell in this tournament is very, very exciting, especially given his recent single loss, his debut this season against Andrew Guy. He's going to go through a tournament to try and avenge it, and it's too bad that Andrew Guy isn't in the tournament, because had they somehow met into the tournament, I mean, it could have. It's actually kind of like the worst possible scenario for Andrew Guy to be in is to face to rematch Dan Murrell in a tournament and then lose. That would not be good for his legacy, in my opinion. It would kind of taint that win he had against Dan Murrell.
First of all, don't use the term taint. I don't like that word. Second of all, I just don't like it. There's certain words I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear taint. I don't want to hear moist. Those are just 2 things I don't want to hear.
Stop saying it.
All right, just stop saying it. I'm not getting hot about it. I'm just saying. I don't think that would tarnish the legacy of Andrew Guy at all. I think that he beat the GOAT. But just leave him alone. Leave Andrew Guy alone, damn it.
Right.
But we do know one first-round match, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I just really quick want to say about Rachel not competing. That is a bummer, and people will point to, well, Clark Wolf's playing. Well, I think Rachel has said on this show and other places, I believe, that it's tough competing in 3 leagues year round or in one season, And if she were to win the singles tournament, she's going to have to defend twice at Spectacular. Well, you could also say, well, Clark's going to have to defend if she wins. I just think that Clark perhaps is in a different space where she feels she can do that. Rachel has been competing a lot more than Clark Wolf has in terms of different leagues and matches. So she has a bit of a pitch count on her already built up, if you will.
Right.
So I think Clark's a little bit more fresh if you see what I'm trying to say here. So I can understand Rachel not wanting to be in the tournament. Plus, there's probably other things, life stuff that's going on that are taken into consideration when Jeff or Andrew Guy can't compete in the tournament. We all know Andrew Guy is doing some good stuff. I think he's like filming a TV show or whatever, so he's got a busy schedule. Just other live stuff that could get in the way for this, and so it's disappointing to know that Rachel's not in it, but it's fine. It's gonna be okay. We'll still see her defend the team title at Spectacular.
Yes, Spectacular right around the corner, but we do know a first-round matchup is going to be Mark Andreyko versus Drew McQueenie. That's heavy, heavy, heavy first-round matchup there.
Yeah. Because you brought it up with...
Yeah, go ahead.
You brought it up with Drew McQueenie, not the greatest of singles players. It doesn't... His performance in singles doesn't even compare to what he's done in teams.
At all. It's almost like 2 different people.
It is so weird. And in Draco, he's been an up and down player, but when he's on, and he can go the distance. So this is a very interesting first round match because Drew, I mean, he can also put it together. We've seen it done in teams. And Draco, he can put it together, but it's just will it click when it matters most when they meet for this first round matchup?
And we don't know.
Yeah.
And if I were a betting man, I would actually bet on Android for this one. I just think that he's got a lot going for him, especially in a tournament. And I think that in singles, he's proven to be a better player, I think, overall than Drew McQueenie. Drew McQueenie's also competing in the team tournament. We know how thinly is that going to stretch him when it comes to competing in the singles. So I don't know, but I like everyone who's been in this tournament. Now, there is an interesting thing going on because there are going to be 8 spots in the tournament. 6 have been filled, but we know that there's going to be a mini, somewhat tournament between 4 competitors, but for the 7th and 8th spot between 5 people. So the 7th and 8th spots down to 5 people. Stick with me, guys. It gets confusing. All 5 will draw for a magic number. This is like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Right. And what was it? Slugworth? Was that the bad guy in that movie? Slugworth? Was that the rival candy? Was it Slugworth?
It sounds right. I haven't seen it in a while.
Slugworth sounds like an awful candy bar. So you're looking for the golden ticket, and you got to draw the magic number. So whoever gets the magic number will automatically get the 7th spot. So it's a get out of jail free card. You automatically get into the tournament. The remaining 4 players will compete for that 8th spot. Now, do we know, Frank, is it going to be, 2 one-on-one matches and then a third and final one-on-one match, or is it going to be a fatal 4-way?
To my knowledge, it hasn't. The details haven't been put out there yet. I would imagine a fatal 4-way. And again, those names, I think it was said that those names will be revealed on the Patreon page first. So if you're not a member of the Patreon, the Schmoedown Patreon, you'll have to wait till Christian releases that information elsewhere. Yeah. But if you're on Patreon, I think Christian said, I don't know, the information actually might be out there by the time this airs. I don't know. So if you're on Patreon, though, you'll see it there first, and then it'll move into the Facebook group and Twitter and all that. But it's going to be interesting to see, this. I think it's going to be a fatal 4-way. I don't know why they would do 2 2-on-2 matches and then a 1-on-1 match. I mean, I don't think they have the time for that schedule-wise. So it's probably going to be a fatal 4-way in my mind. I think that's the best way to go as well. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see who's in this fatal 4-way, because right now we know it's not going to be Rachel, Andrew, and Jeff.
Yeah. So who is it going to be? If you had to take a shot, I don't want to take a shot in the dark because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything in case the news isn't out there. I know we can speculate, but I just we'll see. We'll see.
I tell you who I would like to see in that 5-person lineup, and we'll get to his match. He competed Friday. Mark Hoyt.
Oh,
I would like to see his name in there just to see what can happen.
I think with any tournament, you need a name in there that can shake everything up and go on a historic run. And I think that name for me is the wild man, Josh McCouga. Throw him in there. Let's make it spicy. Let's make it spicy, man. Let's just mix things up. Let's
see if we can do that old
notch.
McCouga magic.
Yes,
old McCouga magic.
I mean, I think he's a lifetime 500 player, but that doesn't mean that he can't go in there and kick some ass. What, you got to win 3 matches? Is that what it is, or 4 matches? How many?
4 matches.
He can do that.
Well, he's gonna have to win 5, basically.
Oh, that's true. Unless he gets a magic number.
Unless he gets a magic number.
He is a blue fairy.
Hey,
you never know. He can create some magic.
That's a sore subject for a Christian.
All right. Well, let's move on. Speaking of, though, you have championship matches. You have tournaments. The Spectaculars coming up December the 21st, the 6th year anniversary of when the world was supposed to go awry, according to the Mayans. But December 21st, 2018, all 4 championships will be on the line. We know this for a fact. Inner Geekdom, Star Wars, singles, teams. We know that's going down, brother. But what else is going to be occurring? Do we know anything else?
We really don't know, and it's speculating that we will see a manager bowl again, because with this Team Anarchy, all these managers all of a sudden came out of nowhere and assigned to these teams, and as the Team Tournament, Anarchy Tournament goes on, it seems like, and we saw some of that with the matches that played on Friday, that some factions could be starting up, some new alliances here and there. So you never know with the emergence of new managers. I would think that some new factions would arise, and you could easily get a manager bowl again for this year, like we did last year.
I would like to see a manager bowl. Emma Fyfe, maybe she could make a maybe this is her thing. This is her thing.
Yeah,
every year,
exactly.
I'm gonna compete in the manager bowl. I'm gonna win.
I mean, you would have to think you're gonna see the most of what you saw last year outside of Ricky Hayberg. He's not gonna be in that one. But I think was there only 4 in that match?
There's 4 or 5. There was I think it was Dagnino, Ricky,
Emma,
Ricky,
Jay Washington, and I can look this up. I don't know why I'm guessing.
I think that was it, though. It might have just been 4.
Yeah.
Was Roxy in there?
No. So I mean, we could have a fatal 5-way for a what do you call it? Manageable.
Okay.
Yeah, it was only 4. It was only 4.
Only
4. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
So I would do Emma definitely to defend it. I think you gotta throw in Dagnino. I mean, is it really a no?
Perhaps, I don't know. It depends what we see happen. Well, I mean, yeah, because he's managing Ben Bateman and Mark Riley.
What should happen is I should become the manager for the team action.
Well, speaking of team, here
throw me in
I think I threw out this theory a while ago, back to the second live event when Team Action was facing Sharwolves, and you saw Dagnino come out on stage and kind of talk with Team Action, like sort of a conference. Well, I think there was a challenge going on, and he came out there. So I feel like he's, now that the Patriots, the whole Lions Den blew up, I feel like he's angling towards the Team Action guys.
It's possible. You never know with Tommy.
And now that he's managing Ben Bateman, he's got a little bit more of a handle on that thread. So I think it could be possible.
It's possible. I mean, we'll see. I think should Roxy be in there? She's managing a team as well.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Let's have a fatal 8-way. I don't know.
let's make it like a free for all style. Let's just keep them coming out, brother.
That would be interesting.
So we know that we don't know, but we're speculating there's a manager bowl. Maybe there's another match. Maybe there's some grudge match that's settled there at the Spectacular. You never know. But speaking of matches, exhibition matches of sorts, sort of like the manager bowl is Patreon exclusive exhibition matches for the rest of the year. We don't know the combatants just yet. At least I don't think we do. But October, November, December, what you got those months. You got the Horror Battle Face-Off. You would have to imagine Clark Wolf and maybe Perry Nemiroff are in there. Maybe Haley.
I know.
Maybe Mark Riley.
Right. I would love to see a Wolves of Steel reunion between Riley and Clark take on the witching hour of Perry and Haley.
That's a great idea.
There you go.
That's a great idea.
To see that. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but hopefully I would wish for that.
When you wish upon a star, Frank. November is movie release dates. You would have to theorize this so that we could see the rematch between Mance and Bateman.
I mean, it's got to happen. If not, then why even do it?
Another person I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind being in there if you want to make it a triple threat match. Throw Ethan Irwin in there.
I'm going to say Sam Levine.
Sam Levine. Oh, that would be another. Make it a fatal 4-way.
It'd be great to see him in an exhibition match.
He's retired. He's an old man. He needs to sit down.
This is kind of like a pro-am, you just
no.
Sam Levine.
Yeah. He needs to stay retired.
You think
Get out of here. He's an old timer. His time has passed him.
You can call the match like he called the other one.
You know what Sam Levine is now? Sam Levine is Tiger Woods when he takes his hat off. Ooh. That's what he looks like. Come on now.
But Tiger Woods just won, didn't he? So it's like,
with the hat on. He looks like Tiger Woods with the hat off. Old man. I don't know why I'm talking smack. I love Sam Levine. That's interesting. And then December, Christmas movies. This does not include Die Hard.
Alonzo Duralde should be in that.
Alonzo Duralde would be good.
We just talked to him. And,
we did.
He wrote the book on Christmas, apparently, from everything we've heard.
I think I would have a shot at Christmas movies. I think I could kill in Christmas movies. Home Alone. Home Alone. Name 5 movies. Christmas Vacation. Home Alone 2. That's 3, right? What? That doesn't count? Christmas Story? Scrooged?
No, but you threw in like Home Alone 2. Come on, just say the Home Alone franchise.
Okay, does that count as 1?
I would say so.
Okay. Well, I think I named enough. Miracle on 34th Street.
There you
the
go.
remake, both of them. I love them both. I love them all. I love all Christmas movies. It's really a soft spot for me.
Gremlin.
Does that count? I guess so.
No. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Die Hard definitely doesn't count.
We're done.
But anyway, we're going to move on because that's what we have to say about all of this stuff. That's actually our news. That's the longest news segment we've probably done in 8 months. We're going to move on. We got 3 matches this week, but I think, Frank, we should save a lot of our match talk for after our interviews. I think our interviews need a proper setup. So I want you to set up the interviews, and then we'll come back after that. So, Frank, tell us about who we're going to talk to and what we're going to hear.
Yeah, so as we talked about at the top, Chance Ellison and Rachel Silvestrini. Chance obviously teamed up with Mike Kalinowski for Corruption, and Rachel Silvestrini teamed up with Devin Stewart. They are Inky and the Brain, and we just go through their debuts as fans. Chance, had some hype behind him because he played in these fan leagues, and as everyone saw in the match when it aired on YouTube, a lot of the competitors there and in the audience really was kind of on him about that, and you saw how he handled it, and he talks about that, and Rachel talks about her struggles in the match, and we do talk about the Andre 2000 misstep there, and she actually gives a reason why she did that, and when you hear it, I have a lot of sympathy for her when she says why. And I get it. I get why it happened. And I hope people listen to it and be like, okay, a little more understanding. But it's a great interview with both of them, and I had a great time.
That's like saying Snoop Puppy. You know what I mean?
Or Snoop Lion.
Yeah, or 3-Pac. It's just certain things you can't mess up. You know what I mean? Like the notorious, PIG. There's certain things you can't mess up. All right? I there's no amount of excuses that could make up for that. October 21st. Frank Janisch and I will go head-to-head in a Back to the Future Trivia Challenge to declare the Back to the Future Rundown Schmoedown Trivia Champion of the World. It's going down October 21st. We'll be right back. Here's some interviews. Enjoy them.
All right, here we are with Chance, Ellison, and Rachel Silvestrini. Did I say that right, Rachel Silvestrini?
You did.
I did. They were making their debuts in their match together. Chance, Rachel, thanks for being here. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Good.
Technology issues.
Yeah, we had a little bit of hiccup there, but we finally got you on here, Rachel. Chance, I want to start with you because you've been hyped up. You're we were talking about it before we got on here, that you're probably the only fan to come into the Schmoedown that has some hype behind them. Talk to me about the hype, and talk to me about these fan leagues, this underground trivia league stuff that's going on, and how you got involved with all that.
So it's funny enough, Take 3 used to do stuff in where they did like a fan league, and so I was getting a line for that, but the picking for that was scarce. So like I ended up actually starting my own league with my own play. I ended up being like really good at it. There was a whole like movie trivia Schmoedown like reaction league that I was a part of that I was really good at. And from then on, I just got linked to a bunch of different fan leagues that I ended up dominating. And when word got out that I was joining Schmoedown, everyone just went nuts. Like the day I got it announced, I was literally answering congratulations texts all day. And yeah, like it's with that kind of hype, I was just like, okay, I cannot screw this up. I can't be the person to go in and just not live up to the hype. So that was a certain thing weighing down on me. But I got some advice from a lot of great competitors. Just like go in, focus, concentrate on what you know, and you'll be all right.
And Rachel, how long have you been following the Schmoedown, and how did you finally get you inside the doors of the studio and get on that table?
Well, I discovered the Schmoedown back March of last year at the WonderCon panel. And, when you prep for conventions, you always look at the panels, and I was like, what the hell is a Schmoedown? And then that first line was, "Have you ever thought of what movie trivia? What would it be if movie trivia combined with the theatrics of WWE and the competitiveness of UFC?" And I was like, "Tell me more." And I ended up sitting front row with Grace and Wendy and making them laugh. And they did the speed round, and I knew all the answers. And Makuga came up to me afterwards and was like, "You did really well. Like, here, come meet Christian." And I was on tour at the time, so I was only in LA for maybe another week and a half, and that was at the time when Christian was really pushing, like trying to find more females to compete. And I was like, "Hey, if you can get me a match in like a day and a half, I'm totally in for this, but otherwise I have to work." So we've been in contact for about a year and a half, and I came in January to visit, and we talked, and he asked if I was ready. I said yes, and I was off tour and got to move back, and it was a blast. And yeah, it just kind of fell into place eventually.
Now, it's my understanding that both of you have had some time in the studio before you actually competed in your first match. Chance, what was that like, going to the studios for the first time and just kind of getting a feel for the place?
Yeah, the first time I went to the studio, it was July of this year. I went to go sit in on some matches, to get a feel for everything. And first time walking in, I was just I was really nervous because I'm meeting these people that I've been following for just a really long time.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to get to collaborate with them on stuff, which is really exciting for me. And it's also a certain feeling being the youngest person at the office at any given time. That was always one of the first questions people asked me, which is how old are you? And I told them I'm 20. It's oh my god. That was Chris's reaction. I told him how old are you? I'm 20. Holy shit. He somehow didn't know. And yeah, walking in there for the first time, it was just it was super great. And I'm glad I got to get that out of the way early, because I could not have imagined going in there for my first time playing a match. Because I probably would have just fallen apart at the same spot.
Let me talk about this age gap real quick, because I don't know if people know this, but the Schmoedown has some older people that compete, and generally the older people in the league do better at trivia because you have all this time watching movies more so than a 20-year-old. And Chance, does that ever enter your mind that they've had more opportunity, more time to watch all these movies? You're just a 20-year-old kid, but yet you're still bringing a high level of play, whether it's especially in the fan leagues that you're playing, and then as we'll get into your match, you displayed that. But was that intimidating to know that there's critics, like Bibbiani, and there's McWeeny, and then you have actors like Sam Levine who have gone on that stage and performed well. Does any of that enter your mind?
Yeah, at points, it can be a little intimidating. Especially, like you said, going with people who I would have to watch movies every day of my life for the next 20 years, and I still wouldn't catch it up with them.
Right.
But it's all a part of the game. Sometimes you have to be able to. It's not just about how many movies you've seen. It's about what you can retain, what you can remember about movies you haven't seen, and just what you can pull one. So it's not about what about what you can do in the confines of a match.
And Rachel, how was your first experience getting into the studios? Did you fangirl out? Did you say hi to everybody, run around, and jump up and down?
It was a lot of fun. I didn't fangirl. I very, very rarely do that. It's a really special occasion when I do. But because
so this wasn't a special occasion. I'm just messing with you.
It was all right.
It was all right. Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. Well, my first time into the studio, it was really special. Just because after that initially meeting everybody at the convention, I went home and just binged everything and caught up on the 4 seasons and then 5 seasons, and then got into the 6th and this is the 5th. And it was just I felt like I knew these people, and everybody's so accessible, and they're so so obnoxiously kind. Like, they're just the best people. So like they made it really easy to come and like, they're like, oh, she's a fan. Like she's, she knows her shit and, she might compete. And everybody was super supportive. And it was just really fun to get in and see how it's done. Like, I really am interested in like the whole behind the scenes aspect of like, oh, so there's 4 cameras and there's 3 displays and people sit here and here and that's how they get their angles. And I was really interested in that. And then when I got to play, I was just a mess.
Because I've been to the studio numerous times now, and every time I come back, I kind of have like this renewed vigor about the Schmoedown. Did you feel that way when you left? You're like, I'm really in it now, and I have this kind of like this newfound sense of motivation or drive to really excel, to really apply yourself into playing the Schmoedown chance?
I definitely did, most because of the result of the match. Because I came in, I won. There were definitely some mistakes made during that match that I don't want to repeat. So I was definitely motivated to go in and every time, even when I played in family, every time I played a match, I looked at what I lacked, what my big gaps, and like when I studied, that's what I would concentrate on. And Schmoedown is no different. Like I think about like the categories on the wheel, what could come up, what am I not strong in, and those are the areas that I try to hit.
I mean, did you get that like a boost of energy almost when you left the studio and you're like, I can't wait to go back and experience that again?
Oh yeah, I mean the whole experience from start to finish, like it's like I said, everybody's so kind. There's just such a good energy about the place, even when people are yelling at each other. Like it's all in good fun. But then you get to experience everything, and like everybody's energy just kind of compiles together, and it just swells and it gets bigger and bigger. And then the match is over, and you're like, I gotta go do something. Like I gotta go watch a movie, but that's way too still. Like it's a blast.
Now, before we get into the match, I want to talk about your partners. Rachel, I want to start with you first. Devin and Jack. What kind of history or interaction did you have with Devin and Jack, and how did you guys come up with some sort of plan and strategy? How did that all work out for you?
Well, I met Jack before I met Devin, because Jack works at Collider where they film the episodes, and so I got to meet him a few weeks before, basically when we were informed, like when I was informed who my partner was and who my manager was, and then I instantly, Devin and I were. I think we were already following each other on Twitter, and so we like got together. We went out for coffee and just kind of got to know each other. We discussed strategies, and if you notice during the match, like we just kind of like look at each other. We'll like signal each other and be like, "Hey, like this is what we talked about. Like you gotta calm, like breathe, like don't rush answers." So, we tried to be as team oriented as we could with knowing we had like 2 weeks to prepare. So.
Okay. And Chance, I know you're based out of Arizona, so it's a little bit more difficult for you to maybe get an in-person contact with Mike Kalinowski, but take me through when you found out that you're going to be in the tournament, you're going to be paired up with Kalinowski. On top of that, Ken Knapsack's going to be your manager. Also, you're in this corruption storyline. I mean, there's just a lot thrown at you with big personalities, storylines. What in the world are you thinking?
That's funny. When I was first approached, I found out about the Anarchy plan, and I got an email later. It was like, "Can you play heel?" I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get like an Andrew Guy, or I'm gonna get like a Tom Dagnino. Then I found out my partner's Mike. I'm just like, oh, this could be interesting. Then I found out not only a part of, I think like Chris pointed out, a part of like a main story going on right now. I also have the heel of the league and who I think is the best mouthpiece in the league in my corner. I'm just like, okay, I got a pretty good setup right here. Now it's on me to deliver like people say I can.
Yeah. And what is it like getting in touch with Mike first, your first time, and what do you guys go over? Do you guys talk shop? I mean, what do you guys kind of like get to know each other? Well, how's that go for the first time?
it's funny. So I met Mike the first time I was at Collider to watch the matches. So like we actually between matches we talked a little bit. People just asked me about like how I got noticed, how I was asked to be here, and just like like how what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, how I got the knowledge that I do. And it's funny because like we actually the second match we watched together, I was answering, and after that he was just like, damn.
He was sold. He was sold.
He was sold. He was sold. He was just like, he's like, yeah, making sure you make me look good. It's not making sure I make you look good.
Now, one last thing before we get into the match. Like I said, you had all this stuff thrown at you, the storyline, corruption, all that, and then you got to do a little bit of a scene with these guys, a promo scene. What's it like, just standing on that wall and then just giving the shoulder shrugs?
Oh, it's funny. Like, and it's pretty much like between that and live. Then between scenes, I got the easiest job. I don't have to say anything.
Yeah,
I have to react. The part about Ken was evil in that scene. He did everything he could to try and make me crack. I'm just like, bite my tongue, think about something else. Yeah. Stick to the script. And yeah, like that scene was super fun to film. I love it, and I'm glad that really gets to be thrown in there.
All right, now let's get into this match. First round. Well, first off, actually, let's go through your promos because, again, this is your first matches. And you, Rachel, you have this new dynamic that Devin and Jack are doing. They're very American now.
Currently.
What was? Did you know about that beforehand? Did they discuss it a little bit? Was that actually a plan, or they just like improvised that? What's going on with that?
I mean, it was kind of improvised, but like I knew about it going into the promo.
Mm-hmm.
What really threw me for a loop was Jack's American accent.
Yeah.
Because like you look at him and he doesn't even have to open his mouth. You're like, oh, you're British, and then he opens his mouth, and I'm like, what do you? Like this feels awkward. Like I felt like I had a T-shirt on that like was snipped just a little short on one side. It was hilarious. But it was a blast, and Christian was amazing leading me through it. Like I said, I am a behind the scenes kind of girl. I'm not in front of the camera. Sure. So like the promo was really stressful for me, but you saw like those two are just like the best guys.
Yeah. And
we just had so much fun with it. And it was just they made it very easy and very comfortable for me.
Now, Chance, did you shoot your promo before or after you did your promos for the match? The one with Ken by the bathroom and all that. Did you shoot that before or was that after?
I think that was before. No, wait, I'm wrong. That was before. I was right. Oh, was it after?
Yeah, you guys shot the promo before you pre-show.
Okay, So what I'm trying to get at is which was your first like interaction with on camera interaction with Mike and Ken would be then for the match promo, not the cold open. Yes. I guess you could call it. Okay, so that was your first. Okay, so that was your first interaction with them there, and Ken has one of his legendary speeches, and you and Mike are standing there. What's it like seeing Ken basically for the first time now in person, do what he does best?
I pretty much have to try to not let my jaw drop. Because like every time he cuts something, I even tell Cam, it's like, you're so good at that. Like you're incredible. Every time Ken on the mic, it's like it's magic, and you have to like really just try to get a character stay professional during something like that.
Now, you didn't really have a whole lot to say in that promo. Comfortability, or was it just kind of by design, or were you thankful you didn't have that much to say, or because you didn't know how it would go? Like,
well, the whole gimmick was like he didn't want me to speak until that promo. So like that whole thing was like being silent until Mike gives me the mic. That was a whole planned out thing. I'm clearly, you watch the film, I'm clearly like the least experienced when cutting these things.
Sure.
Like you see me, I did trip up sometimes, which, I mean, it happens, and I'm getting better at it. Like I did grow up with a speech impediment. But yeah, and it's funny that actually was not the first promo I cut in that studio. Like when I came once again back to July, I was there for Mara versus Emma in the IG tournament, and Christian brought me into that room to watch Mara cut. You want me to see how it was done. As soon as Mara finished, he's just like, okay, give me this, go stand over there. And he had me cut my first promo like that. So,
Okay.
it was my second go around. I was definitely a little better than the first time. And with each match, I'll get a little better. It's just, it's that whole environment. It's that whole environment to where I'm two really great talkers. I have to try and, at least like not like embarrass myself in front of them, and like
Sure.
At least like make a good name for myself.
All right, and now you guys. I feel like I'm going like step by step here, but only because these are your debut matches, your fans coming into it. So, Rachel, you're walking through that curtain the first time. I mean,
it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I was always in the seats, like watching people come in, and I mean, there's such big personalities, and with it being my first match, I didn't know like how big Christian wanted me to go, and so the lights did blind me a little bit when I first got out there. But then I brought one of my best friends, and she was sitting there, and I heard her voice, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. Like, I calmed down a little bit, but it makes it real. It gets real really quickly.
Yeah, Chance, did you have that same reaction?
No, it did not actually.
Okay, how did it go for you?
No, so, before the match even started, I knew like they were gonna try everything they could to throw me off, just because of like who I was and all the hype I had going into that match, and you can clearly hear it.
Yeah,
you can clearly hear what they were doing when this match started. It was really on me, just like, I just tried to like tune it out, drown it out, just like focus. And coming to that curve for the first time, that's when I really had me just like this is real. I'm here. I'm about to do this, and it was like your first like going out of the curtain. It's a great feeling.
All right, so you guys are seated down. You got the whiteboards in front of you. It's round one, and Chance and Mike, you both score 12 points. Chance, you go 7 of 8.
Fucking Mean Streets.
Mean Streets, yeah, that Scorsese one really got everyone. In fact, Inky and the Brain, Rachel and Devin, they come up with 5 points. Rachel, I'm sorry about your first round debut, and I'm sure it didn't go the way, obviously you didn't want it to go that way. We've seen, previously a patron came on, Matt Cruz, and he didn't have a great first round. You're out there, you and Devin, who's played before, don't have a great first round. What does that do to your spirit? I mean, you've just gone through a rush of emotions coming out. The curtain, you've cut your promos, and now you're there, and things aren't going quite your way. How do you center yourself? How do you get back on track?
Honestly, it was one of those things that I looked at the score between the rounds, and I was like, are you really? Like, we're down by 7? And I was like, okay, there's like no coming back from this. Like, let's just make it entertaining. And like, if I can answer the questions at this point, I'll answer them. But like, now I'm really not expecting to win. So it was actually a little bit freeing. Okay. Like the pressure was kind of off. Round one, it shook me in the moment. I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
But then round 2 came along and it was fun.
Sure. Chance, you got the best score out of anyone at that table, including your partner, Mike Kalinowski. Were you glad you got that to shut up the overrated Chance? I mean, even though they came at you for that one miss, which was pretty ridiculous.
They came back. Yeah.
But tell me, is is there any similarities between being at that desk and answering in like the fan leagues that you were dominating?
There are definitely more eyes on me, and definitely more eyes I can see on me answering that. But at its heart, no, it's just answering questions. I mean, all you got to do is just I just kept my same strategy from when I play like right here at my desk or whether I play in the Schmoedown. I just like stay focused, stay calm, and just concentrate on what I know.
You watch the Schmoedown a lot. And obviously, did you let it get into your mind that this is usually when things start out like this, it's kind of a wrap? Did that thought enter your mind?
I'll tell you what, like the real big confidence boosters in the ring are answering a question right that nobody else does, and also being up by that much going into round one. Like after that round one, I was just like, yes, let's do this. Let's go. Let's knock him out. And I thought we had a real shot at that. I really did.
Real quick, you mentioned talking about answering questions that nobody knew at the table. You did that twice. You did that with the Pride and Prejudice one. You pull out Lily James. Dude, I got to ask you, because you kind of talked about it earlier on about even movies you haven't seen. It's about what can you retain from doing whatever. How did you come up with Lily James if you've never seen the movie?
I honestly cannot tell you, because basically what's for me is just like sometimes I'll get a question from a movie I've never seen, and there'll be an answer just screaming at me. And I'm just like, okay, I'm like in that situation, I'm just like, I don't think it's Lily James. I'm probably confusing that with Cinderella, which was around the same time. I'm just like, but I have nothing else. So I'll put that down.
That's pretty incredible. That's one of the great guesses we've seen in some time. I think it was a hell of a guess. I think everyone was very, very stunned there.
Especially Devin.
Yeah, especially Devin. Yeah, he was.
Yes,
he probably thought you were just messing around.
His face was my absolute favorite part of that match.
Oh, he was quite the character in this match, and we'll have to talk about that a little bit. Now, into the second round, Rachel and Devin. Rachel, you're right here. I don't know why I'm talking to you like you're not. You guys spin Will Smith, and it seemed like he pretty much was adamant that you were going to take Will Smith. What was your level of comfortability with Will Smith to be? Because we obviously can tell what Devin's was. What was yours?
That was Devin's character. Like, that was Devin's category. Like, he was like, if we spin this, I'm like, oh no. Like, I think it was like the third thing he said. I'm like, oh, I'm the illegitimate child of Will Smith. And I was like, cool. So when we got that, I knew that we were good. I was totally comfortable with it. I actually knew all of the same answers that he did. So it's not that he just carried this all across. Mm-hmm. Whenever a question would pop up, I don't feel like we agreed that no matter what we spun, whoever's strength it was, we would always confer. And so every time he goes to answer a question, I would slap his leg and be like, no, talk to me first. Yeah. Because sometimes what you have in your head does not come out of your mouth. Sure. So I knew if I had gotten that just for me, it would have been just the same. Like, I would have called multiple choice on the same questions, and I had the other answers off the top of my head as well. So it was a good category for both of us. He just was very excited. Yes, he was. And I think, I'm wondering because, and I'm glad I asked this, or I'm glad you said something, because it very much looks like it's Devin answering. Due to the fact of his excitement level, it looks like it's just all him. I'm glad we can put that out there, that it was mutually a good category for both of you. The teamwork that you guys showed there, I thought was really impressive for two people that have never played together. B, Devin's only been in like a couple matches, so he's just as new as you are. And so I thought it was really great to see, and it seemed like you kind of corralled him a little bit. It seems like, I don't know if I can make this comparison, that he was the Scott Manson, you were the Jason. I love that comparison. Someone and it's excited like Scott Mans, that's Devin. Yeah. He was very exuberant with his character and gameplay, and that's just kind of who he is too. He's just very enthused about things, and so I think it played off well. I think that he was the high, I was the low, and it just kind of we found our middle ground, and we played really well. I was really impressed with how we were able to communicate very clearly to each other. So
now, Chance, I gotta bring up what you said right before they played this round. You said, Devin's going on about, he loves Will Smith, this and that and the other, and you say, and I quote, "I can't wait for you to miss." They didn't.
They didn't.
I know you're having fun, but take me through what you're thinking when they're just blowing through this Will Smith category.
It's funny because, as soon as they hit Will Smith, I'm just like, this could go south pretty fast. And they're doing really well. I'm just like, I'm not gonna look like, okay, you know what, they got a leg up on us, but nothing we can't handle.
Right.
So I was like, it's just, we got to stay calm. We got to keep a level head. Even Ken come just like remain calm. We're all right. We still got our spin left, and there are some categories that we would really dominate in, but we did not hit one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, you got Matthew McConaughey, but before we get into the second round, your second round play, you after the first round you switch seats, you go sit by Mike now, or you guys are sitting out next to each other, and you guys talking about anything, strategy, what are you guys looking at to do? Is there any kind of conversation there?
Regarding round two?
Yeah, going into round two after you just played round one, and now you're going to.
Well, not in between, but we already discussed like round two strategy, like before the match even started. Like we looked at the wheel, we like picked up, we said like, okay, if we hit these categories, we're gonna spin again. If we hit these, we're gonna be all right. And yeah, it was pretty much that. We already decided that I was gonna be the one to spin, so we already had our round two strategy already worked out.
And then you hit 80s, and you talked about what categories you're going to stick with, but 80s seemed like one that might be on the fence, or was that just reconfirming what you guys had talked about?
Yeah, well, like 80s was one we were on the fence about, and Mike was just like, it's probably better if we spin again, and even looking back on it now, was still probably the right choice, just because like 80s is super broad, and like Mike wasn't super confident in it. And I was like on a scale of 1 to 10, I was about like 6 or 7. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, we can spin again. And plus, there were more categories on that wheel that I was afraid of. There were more categories on the wheel that I was all right with than I was afraid of. So
okay,
I was comfortable spinning again.
But then you get Matthew McConaughey, and you said you were 6 or 7 for 80s. Where are you at for McConaughey?
I was about maybe a 4 or 5.
Yeah. Okay, so you get the first question wrong, how to lose a guy in 10 days. This one over here, Rachel, she steals it like it's nothing. They just had a spectacular second round. They cut into your lead, and now they steal on you. What are you guys thinking?
I could tell you who was in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I could tell you the year How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days came out. I could tell you literally nothing else about How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I have never seen it. So, yeah, I'm just like, uh-oh. So we at that point we started playing really even. So we started playing really conservative. If anything, we weren't like 100% certain on. Even if we should have been, we taken multiple choice. Let's not take any risks. Not take any chances. So from that point, it was just about maintaining, surviving until the end of that round. Even if it means taking charge on points, we gotta play smart. We gotta play right.
Mm-hmm. Now, Rachel, you sealed the point. Do you feel like some sort of redemption coming along for you now after that first round?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, my round one was abysmal. My round two was, I knew the fans were going to be like, oh, she didn't know any of this. This is all Devin. So I was like, no, I know what I'm talking about. I know my shit. I obviously can steal points. I'm a contender in this. And so when I was able to steal, as soon as I heard the question, I was like, oh, answer it wrong, please. I want to get a 2-point steal so badly.
But then Chance, you and Mike, you get the next 3 right. You guys are going to multiple choice. You end up going to multiple choice 1, 2, 3, 5 times in the round. You miss twice even on multiple choice. Does that hurt more when you miss on multiple choice?
Not really, just because cause I know they would have had it anyways. So like losing, that's like losing 1 point versus losing 2. So that it actually hurts a lot less.
Okay.
There's a few that we definitely should have that we definitely would have known, but we should have known, but we didn't. Like Marissa Tomei, I should have had that one, but I just completely blanked. Sam Shepard, I knew he was in the movie, but like what happened was that one, Mike and I both forgot he'd passed away. So we were just like, who could it be? Like we got Sam Shepard passed away, so which is why we went multiple choice. You've had someone Mike said, is there anything else? Is there any of the war movies he's in? I'm like, are you sure? We go multiple choice. Sure enough, he's not even in 3 of the other movies. So it's like, okay, so it's gotta be that. So some poor choices on our side, but nothing we regret.
You talk about really briefly there. You just said you blanked. I was kind of thinking back. Do you ever think back on your previous matches in the fan leagues? Can you take some of that experience and apply it to the Schmoedown? You
can. I mean, you absolutely can, just because there'll be times where you'll get a certain question on a film that'll lead to the answer to another question that's happened to me. It's happened to me before, and even just my fan matches. So yeah, you can definitely take stuff away from there. Sometimes you'll get a question that you've already gotten, which is already not hasn't happened to me yet. But it absolutely could. I've seen it happen to other competitors. I'm like, okay, maybe that'll be me one day. But yeah, I mean, and even like aside from the match that I've played, I know like, some of my friends are question writers, so like they're constantly sending me questions to tests. So like I have like a pretty wide base of like answering questions. It's just a matter of like what I get at any given time.
Do you think that also plays into this notion that even though if you haven't seen the movie, you may have gotten this question in some form or another, and you can apply that experience to a given question?
That absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Round 3, Chance and Mike, you guys are up by 1. It's 17-16. You guys had a 7-point lead dwindled down to 1.
We're on some Atlanta Falcons shit.
I mean, what is Mike? Giving you any pointers, any tips about going through the match or going into the third round? Did you guys have sort of a strategy?
Both Mike and Ken were just like telling me like stay calm, because like deep down I knew just like it's because like it's Mike had the same thing when he was in the IG tournament. Like if he lose round 1, that just completely kills this entire concept and completely kills the hype for corruption as a whole. So going in, I was freaking out a little bit. And even before this, Mike and I talked before the match to strategize, and he said his original idea was to have him take the 2 and save me for the 3 for the bigger points. But I told him just like if it's a category, depending on what the score is, like if it's a category you're not good at, it's essentially either I take the 2 or we don't get points.
Yeah. We're going to get to that, but first we have to look at Inky in the Brain. Devin gets Tarantino. Christoph Waltz, he gets that easy peasy. It goes now to you, Chance, ultimately in the musicals category. Come on. What's going on right now?
It's funny. I lean over to Mike. I'm just like, how are you musicals? He literally said fucking terrible. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm taking this one. Although he would have had it anyway. And I made like a super rookie mistake. He started reading the question. And I'm just like, I know exactly where this is going. I know where it's going. And without even thinking, I just shot it off. Christian told me, Mike told me, Ken told me, Mark Andreyko told me, just like, do not just like go blurt out answers, and I did, which thank God I was right, because I would have looked really dumb if I was wrong.
Yeah,
I'm shocked.
I was like, wow, because you have the I can't wait till you miss comment, and now you're jumping questions. I was like, who the hell is this kid? This is his first match, man. He's got and Christian all throughout the match is loving your confidence, your your cockiness in a sense, and then you go ahead and do this on a 2-point question. I thought it was interesting, but now, but you do know, but it seems like you've been told beforehand, and you knew beforehand, I'm sure, like, play it a little bit more safer in this scenario, especially in this scenario.
I think it's just like an involuntary reflex because I knew exactly the movie they're talking about. I knew it was a Moulin Rouge question, and I really just cannot stand that movie. So I'm just like, it's a lot of like bitter irony that I would get this question. So, yeah, it's essentially it's like a gag reflex, like an involuntary gag reflex.
Okay, that's sorry to the Moulin Rouge fans. Rachel.
No, I'm not sorry. He's sorry. I'm not sorry.
Okay. We got to talk about a really sore subject here.
Do we have to?
This is what we're doing.
This is my absolute favorite.
Oh,
listen,
my goodness. Andre 2000, yeah.
Okay.
I tried to listen to his music. I couldn't find it. But
I think he's part of Incast. Yeah, you might have to look that up.
Incast, yeah.
Part of the Little Boy.
I know. So Rachel, I know you kind of explained in your post match a little bit, but the floor is yours. Whatever you want to say about that.
Okay. So first of all, Chance, shut up.
I didn't say anything.
My cousin's husband was one of the co-writers of the movie. Like, I went with him and his writing partner and all of our family to go watch it all together opening weekend. I've seen this movie time and time again. However, when they repeat 2000 3 times before they ask the question,
yeah,
I literally, like, if you watch it, I'm shocked. I'm like, where are my points? Like, it's Andre, and they were like, no, 3,000. I'm like, oh no, it was awful. It was just the biggest brain fart, and I'm so angry. Like, I've gone back to the studio, and people are like, how you doing, Andre? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, they're nice like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I got Roka. Roka called me Andre, and I was like, how you doing, Jane? Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you guys, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's one to talk. Yeah.
Nobody in this league goes their entire career without screwing up like that. So I got mine out of the way early.
You certainly
I'm really
did.
happy about that.
Now that you
the hashtag.
Now that you mentioned that the category was 2000s, that actually never dawned on me that that's where it could like subliminally just like hijack your brain for like a second and replace 3000 with 2000. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. So I hope that makes a lot of sense to other people out there as well listening. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Not me.
No, you're not combining it, Chance?
I mean, I believe it. Just come on, Under 2000, big boy, Outcast, Class 3000. Come on, like,
yeah.
The prince of rap.
And then you guys get to your final question. You and Devin doesn't go your way. I mean, what was it like in that situation to feel like this is it? Even if I ask for a repeat, I assume it's tough, but.
I mean, I hadn't seen that movie since like the weekend it came out in theaters. And I've seen a few movies since. So that knowledge has gotten buried under lots and lots and lots of other facts. And it was just one of those things that I was like, I'm not going to, like, if I pull this, I'm going to be so impressed with myself. Like, it just straight out of the air.
Do you think there's like a fraction of that you could pull it out?
Yeah, I was like, maybe a tree is right. Maybe you buried it by a tree. Like, sure, that sounds believable. But it was just more the fact that I was like, I went into this match knowing how tough Mike is, and I had heard about Chance, and I had Devin as my partner, and it was my first match, and I was like, this is not going to go well for me at all. Like, my main goal for the match was to not get TKO'd or to get KO'd. Like, that was my goal. And so the fact that we made it to the third round to begin with, and then that we were still fighting to stay in it, I was just proud. I was like, this isn't going to happen. I'm just proud that I got to compete. I got here without, wetting myself. So like it was fine. It was just one of those like inevitable like cathartic moments of like, that was fun. Gotcha.
Now, Chance, you and Mike are just sitting back through this 3 and 5 pointer. Were you? Well, first, actually, take me through when Rachel does miss. I mean, were you like, oh, they got to answer a 5 pointer? Like, it's not going to be an easy thing to do. But then, what do you?
Man, Rachel, I love you, darling. But then you missed that. You could see in my reaction to the video. I was like, no way.
Oh no. No, I heard it. It rings in my ears.
You guys should
that was one of the fun.
You guys should probably face off in a singles match sometime. It seems like.
Oh no, he would destroy me in that.
Oh no, okay. I'm sure Chance is chomping at the bit. Yeah, it'd be fun.
It would be fun, but then again, the Schmoedown doesn't always go the way that you think it does. Like Levine always says, the worst player on his best day could beat the best player on their worst day. So.
Sure.
That would be fun.
Andrew Guy, Dan Merrill.
Make it all questions about movies starring Andre 3000.
Oh boy.
Really just hammer that point home. But we did get our 3. So there's the. But even that, like when they had to go to their 5, I'm just like, and when they got that Fargo question, I'm just like, oh boy, that was one of the hardest. I'll give you credit right. That was one of the hardest 5 points I've heard in a long time. Because if you don't really like know Fargo, that's going to be tough. Like,
yeah,
I would have had it because Fargo is one of my favorite films. That's one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies, definitely. So I'm just like, oh wow,
But even as a fan, you were like, that's a pretty tough question.
Yeah, that's not an easy question to get, especially for you two. I'm just like, I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm gonna win. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there going like, where was my Arendelle question? Like, I knew that one. Where was my Darling Children from Peter Pan? I knew that one.
Arendale's not very easy either.
No, but I knew that.
I know you knew that. I knew that one too.
All right. Now, the music's playing. You have won. And, you guys, it's time to do the post game interviews with Brienne and Rachel. Let's start with how it went for you with Devin and Jack still being super American. I mean, one of them is American, but right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so confused now. Yeah. Devin's American, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Devin's American.
It's right. He's Will Smith's other son, right?
Yeah.
So, but does it help when you have two people like them to kind of lift your spirits after it was a tough loss? I mean, you guys really fought well to come back and give it your all. If you didn't have them, do you think it might be a little bit tougher to deal with, or because they help with that?
They definitely helped. They were such a huge support. Like between round 2 and 3, Jack came over and was like, he was like rubbing my shoulders like a boxing manager, and he's like, "You guys got him sweating. They got him on the ropes. They're nervous." And he was just like talking. I was like, "This is great. Like I can totally like this is fantastic. This is really helping." And then afterwards, they were just like, "That was fun, and you guys did really well." And they were proud of me for not crying. And it was just
was Devin crying? Is that why Devin usually cries after a loss?
You didn't hear it from me.
Okay.
But no, they were great, and it was a really enjoyable thing, and I hope I get to compete with them again.
And Chance, you had your first post-match interview now.
I did.
And you said a few words there. Mike got in on it. Ken, obviously.
Of course.
Did you have a mock post-match? Did Christian send you through a post-match mock interview before?
No, he did not. That was my very first post-match experience.
Yeah. All right, so everything's wrapping up now, and it's you guys are. It's interesting because two debuting players having obviously opposite outcomes. What's the atmosphere like after a match and you're walking out that studio? You've played in your first match. You've done something that you've seen some of your favorite players in the league do time and time again. Now you're part of this club. Chance, what was it like walking out of that studio, accomplishing what you accomplished?
It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. Like I got to do something that literally wanted to do since I first saw the Schmoedown way back in 2015. I always wanted to get in the ring and to come in my very first match and win. It's a great feeling. Like Mike and I, after having each other, we went across the street to Barney's. We had lunch. It was great. We celebrated. It was just a really, really great feeling. And someone like me who I played sports my entire life, and I just thrived in competition. I loved the feeling of winning something. It was a great feeling. And given my past trivia, my past history of fan trivia, to graduate to this level to where I'm winning in the actual Schmoedown, it's an incredible feeling.
Is there anyone that you know in the families right now that could come up and compete, that you see your eye on? This is a cool person. Yeah.
I know a few people, two in particular. One is our question writer, Jeremy Adams. Jeremy he's old as dirt, and he's watched a lot of movies. You bring up almost anything that's come out in the last 40, 50 some odd years. Is saw that in the theater. Another one is Richard met him. It's my buddy Paul Oyama.
Okay. I met him.
He's on my age, and he's him and I are on the same level of competing. So, and those are two guys who I know for sure could come in and could really make some noise.
Yeah, I met Paul briefly at the last live event, and I saw Jeremy does some work for the Schmoedown or the Schmoedown Trivia. Other stuff we got going here, and I've met him a couple of times, and he's a good dude. Rachel, end of the day, you're walking out that studio. You want to go back again, don't you?
Oh my God, I'm ready. I said in my post match, I was like, I want another match. I'm hungry now. I think getting my feet wet and losing the way I did just stoked. I'm super competitive. I can't play just regular fun leagues of anything. I'm no, let's have fun, but let's try and win. So I told Christian, I was whenever you're ready to put me back in, I'm ready. Just let me know. I'm around. I'm close. I'll take the day off work. I don't care. But it was a blast. I mean, I had already established friends with the other competitors and some of the other people who just come to the matches. And so upon walking out, people were just super supportive and ribbing me and calling me Andre, and they were commiserating because they knew I was sad I lost, but they were joking about it, and it was jovial. Nobody's malicious in that group, and I was with Chance and Mike when they came across the street to Barney's, and we were all there having drinks, and they were giving me shit about losing. I was giving them shit about letting a girl steal a question about Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was not a question regarding Les Grossman, so I dismissed it.
It was a TiVo. Anyway. Yeah, so it's all in good fun, and it was something that I'm really proud to be a part of. I was proud that I made it through. Because it's really nerve-wracking, and I took a lot of inspiration from Rachel Cushing, not just because we have the same first name, but she was not an in front of camera type of girl, and neither was I, and she made it through, and she's dominating, and so I was if she can do this, I can do this. Her first few matches, while amazing, she was still stumbling with the camera stuff, and if she can get there, I can get there.
Yeah, actually, let's talk about that a little bit with the women in the league, Rachel, because you talk about Rachel, who wasn't an on-camera personality like Clark Wolf was when she came into the league. She was really the only one. But in 2014, we know there was Great Drake and other people as well. But now in this iteration at Collider, though, you look at Rachel, you look at Mara, you look at Clark, you look at Janine, another rookie this year as well. What is it what does it feel like to be included in like this group of women now that you're also helping in some way make some inroads in this industry that's very male dominated?
I'm super proud of that. I mean, these women are warriors. They are strong and intelligent, and they don't take any shit. So to be able to get to compete with them and be, put into a group with them is incredibly flattering. And it just makes me want to do that much better because there is such little representation in the league for females now. It's getting so much better, but it's still like, I think 2 or 3 guys to every female. So it's nice to be able to kind of help even those numbers out and, beat the boys a little bit, or even just make them cry.
Just a little bit. They can handle it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and joining me on the rundown. Chance, where can people find you, and you got anything going on?
You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at ChanceWars_91. Follow my personal YouTube channel, Chance the Critic, before I review movies and stuff. And you can also check out my podcast that I do with my good buddy Russell Howell, Notorious by Chance. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever podcasts are found. That's a show we do every week, and I love it, and I hope you all go check it out.
Cool. And Rachel, where can the good people find you as well?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RM Silvestrini. Just check the match for the spelling. I barely use Instagram, but I'm always available on Twitter, so hit me up.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. We're going to get back to, I think Brad should be here.
Welcome back to the Schmoedown Rundown. Great interviews from Mr. Frank Janisch. Frank Janisch, you're quite the interview. I mean, I'm going to give you your props. Where props are somewhat due. I guess I should give you some props. Quite the interview. But we have... No, I don't want I don't want comment from you. That was it. Let me give you props before we move on. 2 big matches, though, aside from that one this week. We had a week of 3 matches, all tournament matches. Let's talk real quick about Cinemaniacs versus the Franchise Force. Of course, Ethan Irwin, and then you had William Bibiani. We know that there was and then Matt Nost, who's great in teams. Sabina, who we've seen. Well, we've only seen her, once or twice?
A couple times.
Twice?
She was in a couple of team matches and free-for-all. She was in free-for-all. So. She was in
free-for-all. She was, definitely in, she's superhero news. And we've seen her, but I really think this was kind of, and no disrespect to Nost or Sabina, this was kind of like Bibiani, Irwin, like you got to see them clash in some different format.
Certainly felt like in that first round, man.
Ooh, brother. Talk to me about it. So when I first heard about the teams, Matt Nost and William Bibiani, that was my pick. That was my pick. I feel like I change my pick every single week, but that was
I don't even know who you're actually rooting for anymore, Brad. I really don't.
I don't know if I know either. Ben Bateman. And Andrew Guy, that's who I'm rooting for all the time. Action Army. I listened to their Action Movie Anatomy. Action Movie Anatomy. Very good show. I recommend it to everybody.
Go back and watch the one where they had Finstock on. That's pretty good.
Oh, you should always. You should do anything that supports my guy, Andrew Guy. But anyway, I was leaning toward Matt Nost and Bibiani in this match. Of course, Bibiani, the current champion. How could you root against him? But what did you think going in here? Was it Ethan Irwin that you were thinking was going to take this W, or were you like me? Did you think the Cinemaniacs were going to get this one?
My money was on Cinemaniacs. Bibiani's knowledge and Nost. He's a former champ in the team league, and when he gets on a good run, he can be very, very good for his teammate. I initially, when this team Cinemaniacs came to be from the Anarchy pool of the hat, I said this is very similar to a top 10 team between Bibiani and Roca. There's not that much of a difference aside from the deep well of knowledge, which we've talked beforehand in this episode already. So I didn't really see much of a difference, really, except that Bibiani's knowledge is probably a little bit more vast than Roca. So I was like, it kind of seems like the same thing because Bibiani's going to be the one that carries most of the points. Nost is going to be a good second man and come up probably in some tight spots here and there and really help deliver a win. And that's what I felt like this team was going to do, aside aside from the tension that we saw early on between these two, the three really, Emma as their manager.
Yeah, I thought that there was a lot of, I knew, at least I thought there was going to be a high scoring match. That's what I felt. I mean, you have Bibiani, you have Irwin. I thought it was going to be a high scoring match. But talk to me about round one. We talked about it being Bibiani versus Irwin. They were definitely going at each other's necks in round one.
Yeah, Bibiani and Ethan Irwin scored perfect rounds, going 8 for 8. Matt Nose, he had 5, and Sabina, she had a woeful 3. She got burned in some of her lesser, stronger categories in the first round. But then Bibiani, he ends up getting the bonus. Ethan Irwin does not. So at the end of one, they're up only by 3 miraculously,
which is crazy.
14, yeah, 14-11, the Cinemaniacs, and that's due in part because Nose. I mean, he is a 5-point player in this first, so you know you're going to get. And Bibiani, you know he's going to score 7-8 points, the occasional 9, or not the occasional 9, but somewhat frequent 9. And then Ethan Irwin, we all know about his knowledge from the free-for-all, where he's played in singles. So for him to put up 8 points, 14-11, this is a fantastic score for a first round in this match, because we've seen some kind of duds up until this point, but this one looked to be, with Bibiani and Irwin specifically, it looked to be a high scoring match.
Absolutely, and high scoring it was. We could talk about the first round all day, but it's the first round. It's just a stepping stone to get to what round? The second round. Talk to me about the second round though. Who went up first?
Cinemaniacs.
That's right. Yeah.
First.
Which is weird. I wonder why they made that choice, because we talked about it last week. We've seen the trend in the league for maybe the last year, maybe 8-9 months of defer. Why do you think that? Was this just kind of was it kind of arrogance? Was it just we want to go first? We want to have the pick of the board?
Let's just be different. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, you know what? That's kind of Bibiani's motto a lot. Let's just be different. Screw it. Let's just do it.
I mean, another part of it, I think I could see with Ethan and Sabina being new to the league, rookies. I could see the thought process of, let's go first, let's pile on some more points, and maybe by them looking at the disparity in the score will really weigh on them. Maybe that plays some sort of mind game on them. I don't know. I'm just shooting whatever. That could possibly be it. I don't know.
Shooting this motion you just did, just shooting whatever. That is like the Chicago Bulls theory, right? And just do whatever, shoot whatever. Just throw it up there. I don't care. We're not doing anything. And I don't appreciate how you try to hate on my boy Mello the other day because he had I don't appreciate that, by the way, because Mello played a great game. He played a great game. And
actually, Mello and Harden kind of remind you of Bibiani and Nost. Eventually they clicked.
Okay.
They had a couple miscues. Okay. A couple errant passes, but for the most part, they came out with the dub.
I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that. What did you think of their chemistry before we get to their play in round 2? Did you think that it was gelling there? They were vibing, as the young people say.
This dynamic absolutely kills me in a good way. I love Nost's approach, and because it's a complete 180 from Bibiani, and for the most part Emma Fife as well in this scenario. Again, we should talk about the entrances. Emma and Bibiani are all for it, and here comes Nost just doing his little trot out there that he kind of does from time to time. This one's a little more animated than past trots out the curtain, which was funny. But so I mean, it's like, and they were kind of still razzing on him, like he didn't join him. Like, you got actually more than I thought you would out of him.
Let the man cook. Right. Let him do his own little ditty bop.
I just love that there's this turmoil going on in the dugout, and then when they're out in the field, it's they're hitting doubles and triples and scoring points.
Look up, and I hope Christian Harloff appreciates this reference. Matt Nost and William Bibiani remind me of a tag team from late 90s, early 2000s WWF called Head Cheese. Their name were Head Cheese, and it consisted of a guy named Al Snow and a guy named Steve Blackman. Al Snow was kind of out there. He would carry a styrofoam head to the ring. He was a little zany, little weird, kind of marched to the beat of his own drum. And Steve Blackman was a very serious, I'm just here to be a professional wrestler. I want to wrestle. I want to be good at wrestling, And then every time Al Snow would try to make him go along with some shenanigans, such as putting a head cheese on him, like Green Bay Packers head cheese, Steve Blackman would not be there for it. And he would be almost the party pooper. So William DeVise Bibiani, Matt Nost, Cinemaniacs out, head cheese in. But let's talk about their round number 2. What did they end up spinning?
So they first spin Disney and then respin and get Spielberg, which I
thought was a good respin. Yeah.
Yes.
Great
this
respin.
is a fantastic land because Spielberg, while he has a lot of movies he's made, it's still very centralized, and he's one of the most popular directors, one of the most successful directors of all time.
Probably the most. Yeah.
Yeah, you could argue that for sure. Yeah. So you're gonna know a lot of his movies just by the pure fact that
you've seen movies.
The mere fact that you've seen them. You almost had no choice, to see them because they're so iconic. A lot of them, right? So
you know what's crazy about Spielberg?
It's a great land.
Just to get on a tangent real quick, if you had no idea what movies that he's directed ever, you have no idea. You're just a random person. You're a young kid growing up and watching movies. And if you were to tell me that one guy did E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park, Hook. I mean, one guy did all of these. It's kind of crazy. When you go through his, I wouldn't say War of the Worlds would be a crazy one to throw out there, but, just the breadth of all the things that he's done. Schindler's List, all the way up into Ready Player One, the BFG. One guy did all of these. It's crazy. It's just nuts. Spielberg is an anomaly. Have you seen the documentary on him on HBO?
No, I heard great things about it. I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot that I wanted to watch it, so I'm going to write that down.
Yes, watch the Spielberg documentary. New levels of respect for this man. Indiana Jones. It's just so crazy. The iconic properties of movie history. Jaws is way up there when you talk about just iconic. People know Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. It's crazy one guy did all of that. And look up his deal with Universal theme parks. That man does never have to work again. Ever. But they did really good. They did good in Spielberg. The one that got me that I was like, man, what is the answer to this? Was what was his first movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like THX, whatever the hell that movie is, but that was George Lucas. Yeah.
That was a good question.
It's a great one. It's a great pull. We see something similar to it in the I don't know if it's the Take the Cannoli match or if it was the one that you covered, the corruption match. Which one was the I think it was the corruption match. It was the first movie with Scorsese and De Niro. It's another first. What's their first one? We know they have all these incredible movies. What's their first one? And that was similar to Steven Spielberg. What did they end up getting in that round, Frank?
They went 6 of 6 for 11 points because they had to go to multiple choice on that last question, and so they ended up scoring 11 points. Right? They got 1 point steal off a franchise force, so they scored 12 in the second round to add to the 14 that they had.
So franchise force, it now has a nice little hole that they got to dig themselves out of. Going up into the for their turn for the second round, they spin what?
Fantasy, sci-fi, and they kind of think about it for a little bit. Ethan Irwin felt good about it. Sabina wasn't quite sure how she was, what her feeling on it was, but they both stuck with it, and they ended up going 4 of 6. It's not bad, but they only come up with 6 points, half of what Cinemaniacs did. So that put them in a 26-17 hole. And you know what? Ethan Irwin commented on the fact that he felt their questions were a little bit tougher. And
they were.
And they were, but that is because I think of, and Christian even mentions it in the match, that fantasy sci-fi, that's spreads a lot. That's
a lot. That's a lot of movies. Yeah,
a lot of area to
very
cover.
broad.
Many directors, many decades.
Right.
Whereas Spielberg, you can really hone in on his filmography and chip away if you had to do that. Fantasy, like the Inkheart questions, like bro, that's brutal. Their last two questions were, wow.
Yeah,
I was
yeah. There were a lot there where you're just like, I don't know. Take a shot in the dark. And you had to go to multiple choice. That's why they couldn't capitalize on the points that they needed in order to make it a little bit closer. 9 points going into round number 3 pretty much has a bow wrapped on this game, which we can break down round number 3 if we would like to. But, that's fantasy sci-fi. I think that really that show, I don't know if that's a rookie mistake by Ethan or not. I don't really know, because if he felt confident in the category, he felt confident in the category. It just didn't turn out in his favor. I don't know. I think that his complaint that they were more difficult than Spielberg movies is a rookie complaint, just because it's like, okay, if they get Spielberg movies, say you spin Tarantino, your questions might be a little easier. There's, you know what I'm saying? It's just a smaller, it's once again a smaller filmography.
Yeah, Harlov said, rookie comment, I'm going to let it slide.
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that. That is a rookie comment. And it is. It's a complete rookie comment. But, Ethan is still, I don't know. I don't know if he's in the running to be player of the year, but, he's maybe a rookie of the year contender.
Oh, definitely rookie of the year contender. And depending on what he does in the singles tournament, hey, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I let's go to their round number 3. Talk to me about how they walked their way through this one, because I know this was kind of the situation we talked about the other week where, the way this team thing works, this added element of who goes first, who goes second, can really screw with stuff. So talk to me about their round 3.
Yeah, so Ethan Irwin gets 2,000, blows through this question, but it's Sabina's 3-pointer in Sandra Bullock category of the Speed 2 question. Who's Sandra Bullock's love interest in this one? Ethan Irwin knew this one. Sabina did not. It just, Speed 2 is, in my opinion, pretty forgettable. So I don't really, put too much on it that Sabina lost on this question.
More forgettable. Speed 2, Caddyshack 2, or Christmas Vacation 2.
You're basically asking me which one would I want to forget.
Right. Most forgettable.
And I would say Caddyshack 2.
Yes. Oh, man. Do you know Chevy Chase got paid $800,000 to do that little cameo in that movie?
Yeah.
He's Chevy Chase. I love Chevy Chase. Even though people say he's a big a-hole, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's one of the funniest people to ever be in film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then it's like, you got to separate the personal from the on-screen.
Do you own rubber gloves? No. I lease them, but I have an option to buy. Just the best. Just the best. Yeah. I love him. Okay. It was one of those things, though, that what like we talked about, Ethan knew that he had that 2000s question. That's why he went first. But then you have this second question, this big mystery. And I don't know if there is a good way to play that. I don't think there is, because you don't know what the category is going to be. You're locked into it. And I feel like more often than not, when the player of the team who goes second gets that category and they don't know the answer, the player who went first definitely knows the answer. Like, I feel like it always happens that way. Like in this case, Ethan knew the answer. Sean Gerber knew the answer in that Mean Girls question. I feel like it always happens that way, where the flip of the coin goes the wrong way.
Well, I think had they missed, though, on that first one, the game's over. The game's over
right.
So I guess you go with the hot hand in Ethan Irwin and pick up the 2 points to stay alive, because you never know what you're going to get in your second and third category of the round. So I think it's fine strategy. It was really their only option at that point, if you look at it from a strategical standpoint.
Strategical.
Yeah,
you sound like the President George W. Bush. Strategical.
Yeah,
strategical. Misunderestimate. But yeah, it was just one of those things to where you got to go with Ethan because you know he's going to know it, but then where do you sit
to
there
wrap up this match, Cinemaniacs, they went 21 of 25, and that means their only misses came from Matt Nost. when he missed, when he misses 3 in the first round. And that was it. That's all they missed. Because they had a pretty good, as Emma said, synergy going on there in that second round and didn't have to do anything in the third round. And as for Franchise Force, they went 16 of 25 for 64%, 19 points. Not bad, but
not enough.
Not good enough.
Yeah, we sleep on Matt Nost a lot, though. Even though he missed those first 3, or missed 3 questions in the first round, I always go back to the top 10, top that match where they almost didn't miss a question at all, top 10.
Right.
I think, didn't they only miss one? I think Matt Nost missed it. It was the Bonnie and Clyde question, I think.
Something
but it was
ridiculous.
one question they missed out of the whole game. Matt Nost can carry his weight. Obviously, I think sometimes he just doesn't get enough, shine, because a lot of the times the guy he's next to seems to be the center of attention a lot of the times, whether it be John Roca or now in this case William Bibiani, singles championship contenders that a lot of times he gets matched up against to either his detriment or what have you. So let's talk about maybe my favorite team name of this competition. Take the Cannoli versus the Self-Righteous Brothers. Self-Righteous Brothers, I'm not as a big a fan of the name as I am Take the Cannoli. But, it's all personal preference here, Frank Janisch. I think Take the Cannoli has the best names thus far.
I think it's Evil Geniuses between Ron Harris and JTE.
You know what? That is good. That is good. That's good.
That's
okay.
the best one. That's
okay.
the best one.
I'll take that.
But I will say, actually, I really dig the Cinemaniacs. I like that one actually a lot. But
I think it's kind of corny, to be honest with you. It reminds me of Animaniacs.
I know. Well, duh.
But it's just like...
That's why I like it.
It fits Bibiani. I don't feel like it fits Nost.
Well, the Maniac fits Bibiani. The Cinna is more Nost. But
is
it also
though?
fits Bibiani. But
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more of a... Yeah, I guess it's... I mean...
It's a Bib's name.
Bibiani more... Yeah, I guess.
If I were to bet, Bibiani came with the name.
Well, as you listened to their... Was it pre-match or post-match? Whatever
pre?
it was. They were... They were... And again, I just love that.
I forgot their pre. I forgot what they said.
Yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're what they call rambling in the business. Take the Cannoli Self-Righteous Brothers. Very interesting team-ups. But I think if there's a team match ever in any format, whether it be a tournament, a team championship match, or whatnot, and Drew McQueenie is competing in that match, I think Drew McQueenie is odds-on favorite.
I would say so. I don't think you can find many people that would disagree with that.
No. So, and then we know that Brienne did compete in a team championship match this year. She did very well in the free-for-all. She's no stranger to team matches, going back to her and Stacey Howard. So I thought that this was a pretty solid team. And the Self-Righteous Brothers, I know about Whitney, and I know a little bit about Whitney. And when I looked at this team, this was all I knew. A little bit about Whitney. What did you know?
Probably just as much as you.
If Chris Clark were here, we would get a history lesson.
Oh, jeez, yeah. But for Mark Hoyt, though, beat the Geeks. That's the only thing we have to go on, as Rachel talked about in the lead up. So again, you're right. Like not much here that we didn't know, or we knew what we knew going into this. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew what we were kind of getting, at least from one side of the room. So let's talk about it. Their first round, and let's just give a spoiler. This was a great match. Their first round, for a minute there, I thought that we were going to have 3 people go perfect. I just thought that for a minute because there was a nice little run there, and then Brienne fell off, and then we had 2 going. Overall, what were your overall thoughts? I mean, I just saw question answering skill at an all-time high.
Yeah, this was great. You talking about the first 3 questions? Brienne, Drew, and Whitney go perfect, and then they kind of just all slowly fell off. But Whitney, he brought it through the entire round and gets the bonus question as well. So he gets 9 for his team to go with Hoyt's 6, and then Brienne did 5 points. Drew had 6, which is kind of irregular from his previous team performances. He's usually right there at the 7 or 8 level. But 11-15, Take the Cannolis trailing by 4, and I'm thinking like, holy crap, this is something. This is kind of like what we just got with the Cinemaniacs match in franchise. I'm sorry, what do you call it?
Corruption.
And no, wait, I was right. The Cinemaniacs and Franchise Wars. The first round very similar because it was 11-14. This one's 15-11. So it was like, well, this is definitely gonna. I mean, because we knew that Whitney has great knowledge. We know that Drew has great knowledge. We knew that Brienne can really bring it, and from seeing Hoyt in this first round, I thought, yeah, he's got a lot of. I mean, he answered his last 4, ended very well, so he's starting to get into a groove there. 15-11, 26 combined points. That's stuff that you want to see from top teams competing, and this is why you watch the Schmoedown for this level of play. Yeah,
the level of play was just off the charts. But let's talk about we went through the first round, but the second round. This is where really the game that was here, the volume was turned up. Marty, there might be a problem with the overdrive. They definitely threw it into overdrive in the second round. Talk about the categories. Let's take the cannoli first because they had to really dig in. Talk about their spin and their play.
Well, they get spinner's choice. Drew gets spinner's choice, and I don't know that this guy has had a sour second round category. I can't remember the last time it's happened. But going back to above the line, I mean, to get spinners, and then Brienne's like, yeah, let's do 80s. And Drew McWeeny, he has a show about the 80s. I mean, this guy does it for a living.
Right.
And, it was nice that Brienne was there, but it didn't even matter.
Shout out to Brienne's costume, by the way.
Yes, very. I mean, she always brings it with the entrances and the costume.
I think it's best costume of the year.
Probably so far.
It's best costume of the year. No, it's the best one. You're not going to change my mind. Though? Best costume of the year. Change my mind.
Star Wolves title match. Hela, Thor, Lady Thor.
Nope, going Brienne.
Really?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
All right.
So dope. So dope. Even though it's not a movie, still so dope. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's wrestling, so I appreciate it. But continue with your thought.
But yeah, Drew just mows through this round, and Brienne as well. I mean, one thing that kind of I didn't really care for, and which is a little interesting to note, is that when you watch Drew and Sam compete, they conferred like 99.9% of the time in the second round. Here, Drew with Brienne, that didn't really happen a whole lot.
Do you think, though, that might have been, Brienne kind of giving him the go-ahead, like, I know this is your ish, for lack of a better term, go right ahead? Because I think that sometimes we see that in these categories. I can't think of another team or another instance, but I know that it's happened to where it's just like, the floor is yours.
Yeah, but I think the trouble that comes with that, though, is if that person who you defer to kind of gets a little ahead of themselves and maybe blurts out an answer that they wish they could take back as soon as they say it. And whereas if they had just conferred with their partner, they could have worked through it and made sure that follow-up didn't happen.
Kind of like, you know what, though? I say that, but in Rachel and Clark, whenever Clark got horror, Rachel was still there to be like, actually, I think it's this. And she ended up getting one of them right. So that is a good point, Frank.
And so I don't know that that's going to happen in their matches going forward. But I just for appearance sake, I just like to see a good team always confers on everything and is always communicating. And yeah, they had an outstanding match. I can't take that away from them. But just for appearance sakes and I guess team chemistry and all that stuff, I'd like to see the good teams confer on everything, even if they know it 100%.
Yeah, but they did very well in the 80s category. They got how many points?
They picked up 11 points.
Yes,
on this turn alone, and then they eventually would get 3 more in steals. We can talk about that because Self-Righteous Brothers, they spin Disney, and then they end up with Julia Roberts, and not a great spin for them.
Not a great spin, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be miss almost every one and let Brienne steal. But that's not really how it turned out.
No, almost, sort of. I mean,
almost.
They got burned on all of their misses. There were multiple choice for them. I mean, they only went 3 of 6 for 6 points, and then Brienne scooped up the other misses for 3 points to give them 14 in that round for Take the Cannoli, which is like this round was the complete reverse of what happened in the first round for them, but even worse though for the Righteous Brothers because they only scored 6 and not 11. And that put them in a 4-point hole going to the final round. But what I thought was interesting to note here is what we were seeing here is Brienne filling the gaps of knowledge that Drew might have when it comes to specifically Julia Roberts films, because she was all over these misses very confidently, and Drew let her do her thing, and they got 3 extra points out of that were huge. Huge 3 points in this match, man. When you really look at it overall, God, these were big pickups.
Oh, they were massive points because think about if let's see, they were up by 4, but had the brothers picked up those 3 points that they missed, it would have been so tight going into there because they would have still had the lead there going into round number 3. So these were big pickups by Brienne, and I think that's a great point about the balance of powers. That's kind of why I liked the Cinemaniacs so much, just because of the balance that they brought to the force, if you will. There's one who's you know that their strengths and weaknesses, and you know that they kind of balance one another out. And I think that this was a good illustration of that. We've seen that with a couple of teams. We've kind of seen that with Who's the Boss. There's certain strengths and weaknesses there that the others pick up for one another. I think horror for Ben Bateman, having Mark Riley there is very beneficial. Movie release dates maybe for Mark Riley, who's not bad at movie release dates, but you got the boss like Ben Bateman in that category. So, and we see that again with 80s movies, Julia Roberts, a similar thing with the Take the Cannoli team. Do you think that with the Righteous Brothers, do you think that they mirrored each other too much in their strengths?
It's hard to say right now, based off of this first match that they had together, and I don't know that. If you look at their first round too, though, Hoyt, he missed in fantasy sci-fi, he missed an animated, and that was it. So, and then Whitney obviously didn't miss any. So it's like I don't know where's the gaps here. It's hard to say. What's their weakness? What's their strength? I mean, obviously their weakness was Julia Roberts. For the most
was
part.
But a weakness.
Yeah, but I mean, and then when you look at their third round, and they it was a clean sweep for them there, as was Cannoli. So
yeah, no, I get you, but I just wondered if the shoe was on the other foot. I mean, I know it's a strength of Brienne's, but I'm just saying. Say it was dance movies that they landed on. I mean, there's just a better balance there. Had Above the Line gotten dance, you see what I'm saying? Had the Righteous Brothers gotten dance, they're not going to really. There's not going to be someone there to balance that out for them. You got somebody like Brienne.
I don't know
with Drew.
I don't know. Maybe maybe Whitney.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm going to hedge my bets and say no. But
I don't know. We need Chris here to tell us that one.
Actually, Whitney, I can't do a Chris impression. I wish that I could. I wish I could do a Chris Clark impression, but I can't do it. I just know it's going to be fantastic. That's all I know. Talk about, though, Whitney in company's third round.
Yeah, they get the 2, 3, and 5-pointer, and it seemed
Bam, 2, 3,
fairly rudimentary for them.
Bam. So good.
Same thing
So good.
I mean, I love when the third round plays out like this because it takes the match to another level. And I mean, it was 25-21 coming into this round, and Righteous Brothers, they needed to hit their first two to send it back to Cannoli. They do that. They send it to Brienne, and it was the Mel Gibson question.
Yes,
and
it was after Braveheart. What was his next film that he directed?
Yeah.
Essentially,
she takes a swing at it and connects Passion of the Christ, and that's another amazing moment. And it shows that Brienne can kind of work through something that she doesn't quite know, and she can take an educated guess and come through. And because they needed
every point.
They need every point,
just to be,
especially just to keep the pressure on them. I mean, they could have missed this one and still won, but you don't want to go through that.
No, you don't, and you don't want to. If you're Brienne, you don't want to look back and be like, "Damn it." If I just gotten that 2-pointer, we would have had enough cushion and I would have been all right. You know what I mean? That was a great pull, though. It was a great pull by Brienne that gets Passion of the Christ. I really do enjoy that. I've never seen the film. Have you ever seen Passion of the Christ?
I have. I saw it in theaters, actually.
I remember. Do you remember this? I remember seeing a different movie at the time that movie was out in theaters, but there was like protests. Do you remember the protests at the movie theaters over Passion of the Christ?
Sort. I feel like so. Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember what the protests were about. I'm just kind of ignorant to it. I was too young at the time, but I do remember the protests, brother. Okay, talk about Drew McQueenie though. Drew McQueenie really coming through for this for the latter portion of the third round.
Yeah, I mean this 3-pointer, 5-pointer. I mean the what, like this 5-pointer. There's a lot of words.
Oh my goodness! Were you Skaliski? I love you. I love you. I love you, Skaliski. I do. But I'm listening to the question, and I'm like, what the hell is it? Get to the point. What's the question?
Uh-huh. I know. And it's funny, too, because it seemed like Drew knew what they were going for.
Yes.
Like a third of the way into the reading of the question. And just finish. Come on. So I can just say
He was being polite. I loved it. He was so polite about being correct.
And, he hits the 5-pointer with seemingly ease.
That would be Howard Taft or whatever the guy's name was. I forget. Just a very, very yes, that would actually be this. No suspense. He didn't team action us at all. He didn't give us the. Do you know what it is? I don't know. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? Let's ask for a repeat. Let's make this a little bit more dramatic. They didn't give us any of that. It was just, yep, that's the answer. Bye. We won. Mic drop.
And what's interesting too here is going back to their second round, answering all 6 of those, answering the 3 steals, and answering these last 3. They were 12 for 12 their last 12.
12 for 12 their last 12. That's very good.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's very good.
Very good there, Frank Janisch. I can tell. A1 for you, man.
I'm a wordsmith.
You are, brother. But they take the victory, take the cannoli, and they also set the team record, correct?
Oh, they tie it.
They tie it. They tie the team record.
And it's so 2 teams have only scored 35 points. Above the Line did it in a match against Patriots in the title match. So it's a 5-round format. But they also, Above the Line also did it against Wolves of Steel in last year's team tournament, which is another great all-time match. And Wolves of Steel actually scored 32 points in that match. So not quite, just a tad bit better than the Brothers. But then Top 10 also scored 35 against Top That. So
right.
Drew McQueenie, of the 4 times, 35 points have been scored. He's been a part of that 3 of the 4 times. It's
crazy. It's just crazy numbers. But you know what's so funny about when they won is and maybe I just don't remember it, but I never recall Drew McQueenie being so jubilous in a win.
Yeah.
Like he was very hyped. He was like, he gave me the Tiger Woods, and he had his fist in the air, and he was hyped. Yeah, he was very into it, which makes me think that he has something that he wants to prove. Because I don't know. Do you think? And I don't see this in the online community. Oh wait, hold on. What are you gonna say? What, Frank? You got big eyes.
This is a Kobe Shaq dynamic going on here.
Yeah,
this is what this is.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't see the talk a lot, but I'm sure that it's out there, and I just haven't seen it. Did Sam Levine carry you to those championships, Kobe, or Shaq, or whichever whichever way you want to go with it? It can go either way. And it's an interesting question, and I think that maybe Drew has some buriedness in there where he's like, "Look, man, I'm deadly. I'm sharp. I'm the man. I got one fist of iron, the other is steel. If my right one don't hit you, then my left one will." You know what I'm saying? He's ready for it. He's ready for it, and I think a motivated Godfather is a scary Godfather.
And it's interesting when you look at champions. Sam Levine said, "What else do I have left to prove?" Drew, he has something else left here to prove. He's still playing, and now he's trying to win the team titles with a different teammate.
And that would be the first time ever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be the first time because he would be the second. He would be the second person to bring another player to another teammate to a title match, because JTE brought Finstock to a title match against Team Schmoes, against Christian and Ellison, and then he did it with Jeff Snyder. So he's the only guy to do that, if my memory serves me. I can't think of anyone else either. But I think that obviously Drew would be the first one to, if he's able to get to the mountaintop twice, that'd be a pretty big. He would be the first to do it with a different teammate, but the second person to do it with a different teammate, which is still crazy.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's wild. I love how this tournament's shaping up because I don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? I just don't know what's happening. Every time I think I know how it's going to play out, I mean, the matches for round number 2 coming up are going to be ridiculous.
Because they talk about it here at the end too with the Righteous Brother, with Whitney. Does he go back to Bibbs with the way he played with Hoyt? But you look at Bibbs, he also had a perfect round. So Bibiani had a perfect round. Seibel had a perfect round. I think Critically Acclaimed stays together because of the way they play in the first round.
Or do they add a third man?
Hey, do they start building up,
what would be sick is if it was a 3-man team and they did it in wrestling. There's a thing called the Freebird rule.
Yeah.
Yes.
They tried that early on. That was an idea that was floated with Makuga and at the time, I think Slash Pearl Raver, when they had team. They're going to be Team Movie Talk, or TV Talk rather, and it was be David Griffin and Josh Makuga, Slash Pearl Raver, and that was an idea floated way back when. It also kind of worked with when John Schnepp, John Campia, and Robert Meyer Burnett. That was kind of a free bird situation because Robert Meyer Burnett couldn't compete one time, and then John Campia stepped in. And
I wonder though, like if it would be if say we had a 3-man team eventually, or 3-woman team, whichever, win the championships, and then they alternate out. That's what the Freebird rule really is. The Freebird rule was really the Freebirds won the tag team championships, and then you never knew which two were going to team together to defend them.
Gotcha.
So
that'd be interesting.
It would be an interesting dynamic. I don't know. Down the road. Just saying, down the road. So Frank, what can we expect though here in the Schmoedown next week?
I think we're gonna see the wrap up of the first round of this Team Anarchy with Evil Geniuses going up against Wild Berries.
Wild Berries.
There we go.
Yes. I'm excited.
And then later in the week, that Friday match. What's the Friday match? Let me look at that up. I can't recall.
While you look that up, allow me one more time to promote October the 21st. We're just a few weeks away. Frank Janisch, myself, Back to the Future match. It's going to be 3 rounds, hosted by the current Movie Trivia Schmoedown champion. 4 days or 5 days before his title defense, he's going to be hosting us, along with the aforementioned Robert Meyer Burnett, produced by Chris Clark on Collider Podcast Network. Big deal. Frank, do you have that Friday match for me?
Yeah, so that Friday match is going to be the first match of the second round, Odd Couple versus the Paddington 2.
The Paddington 2 versus the Odd Couple. That's going to be a good one. I'm excited, though. I'm excited. I guess we should say that both you and I should be at the Spectacular.
That is the plan. That looks like that's going to happen, as well as Chris Clark.
As well as Christopher Rapilio Bisquete Clark.
The whole Rundown crew is going to be there.
Oh, the Rundown boys, brother. And speaking of the Rundown boys, make sure you follow us on Twitter at SD Rundown. You can follow me
again?
At SD Rundown. Oh, wait, one more time for the people in the back, all the way up in the 400s that didn't hear me, at SD Rundown on Twitter, or you can follow me at Brad Gilmore and Schmoedown Rundown on Instagram as well. Frank Janisch, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29. You can also find me running the Chicago Marathon Sunday. Don't track me because my time's going to be horrible.
Oh, I'm going to track you,
too. But I will finish. It's going to be brutal. I mean, I might not be able to do the show next week. I could be like that beat.
Drained. Are you going to wear the ribbon? That's a Seinfeld reference. I don't know if you remember. Kramer's in the walk. He didn't want to wear the ribbon. Anyway, who does not want to wear the ribbon? But congratulations to that, Frank. We should all applaud Frank Janisch and cheer him on in his victory. Yeah. Maybe somebody will sponsor him, and eventually he can get, the anti-glare lenses in his glasses so I don't see myself when I'm talking to him on Skype.
I know. I try to bring on the brightness level here, but it
doesn't work for you, Frank. It doesn't work for you.
Does the Brad Gilmore Show want to sponsor me?
You know what? We might be able to, because we have the official Brad Gilmore Show pillows available at bradjgilmore.com.
You've gone completely product apparel bonkers.
I've gone off the deep end. I've gone a little bit off the deep end, but it's okay. You can get also the BG Champ is Here t-shirt is available now as well in navy and orange, as well as the You're an Idiot. It comes from upbringing. Your parents are probably idiots too. That's all available at bradjgilmore.com. But for Frankie J29 on Twitter, for Chris Clark 8788, those numbers mean nothing on Twitter. For me at Brad Gilmore on Twitter. This is the SD Rundown on Twitter, and we'll see you next week on YouTube. No comment, Jen?